This program is brought to you by the Media Liberty Alliance Foundation in cooperation with OBBM Network TV, bringing citizen-led, creative local media to the forefront of local communities to foster a greater understanding of constitutional liberty and appreciation of what makes us truly free, starting with you and me.
The Zach Rateliff Show is sponsored by Mortgage Financial in Texarkana, Exceed Health Clinic, Elmwood Custom Goods, and Church on the Rock, Texarkana. That's churchontherock.org. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. That way you're updated each time fresh content comes out. And thank you for being part of the Zach Rateliff Show. Hello and welcome to the Zach Rateliff Show. I'm Zach. This is Dale.
Hey, guys.
And it's another week, Dale. Here we are.
That's another Wednesday in the Zach Rateliff Show.
Yeah, that's right. In the house, baby. Man, we got a lot to cover.
We do.
First of all, thank God for another day. Thank
As rainy and dreary as it is.
You know, I'll take it.
We need the rain.
Yep, we'll take what we can get. We got a cold one coming, so says the weatherman.
The snowpocalypse.
Yeah, of course, you know, I just never believe that it's coming. Like
that's Mary. She's like, yeah, they're predicting 2 feet. You know, we'll probably get 2 inches. Yeah,
if that. Now we'll get some ice because we always get ice.
Yeah,
but I'm just not. I don't know. I'm ready if it comes.
Be ready. That's all.
My daughter and I will be out riding side by sides and having a ball in it if it does come. And then we like to take the truck and turn the traction control off and do some whoop-de-doos too in big parking lots. So, you know.
Not me, baby. I'm going to have a load of firewood, get my stove going in the living room, and I'm done.
Well, let's kind of jump in with Davos in mind, with what's happening there. But I want to read this from the Infantry Dort on X.com. This is a quote from Army General of the Army Dwight Eisenhower, February 28th, 1951. There is no defense for Western Europe that depends exclusively or even materially upon the existence in Europe of strong American units. The spirit must be here in Europe, and the strength must be produced here. We cannot be a modern Rome guarding the far frontiers with our legions, if for no other reason than these are not politically our frontiers. What we must do is to assist the people to regain their confidence and get on their own military feet.
Well, you know, those are great words when spoken. Unfortunately, what he warned against came to pass.
Absolutely.
You know, Europe has not defended itself. America has been the defender of the free world.
Right, since 1945.
That's right. And there is nobody else out there. We are the indispensable nation on the world for freedom, for religious freedom, for political freedoms, everything.
Yes.
You know, the world would be so much darker. We'd probably be in another feudal system.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for America.
Well, look at how the Middle East is run, especially in Sharia countries, which they're trying to bring here.
Oh yeah, that's a topic for another story. But it's one of those things where, you know, we have been the guarantor of peace in the Western world forever.
Right.
You know, we've seen the rise of Russia.
Yep.
And we've sort of turned them back. And
which Patton was even right on that.
Yeah.
He said march on to Moscow and go ahead and handle that situation too.
Right.
And the CIA killed him for it.
Somebody killed him for it, that's for sure. And, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, we watched the rise of Russia and we saw Russia fail. You know, the Soviet Union collapsed. Now you've got a paper tiger Russia with nuclear weapons. So, you know, they can lash out from the depths of hell, but they can't go and do what they were wanting to do.
Right.
We've seen the rise of China. And all these dictatorships and things, they've come off our backs, our neglect, our not standing up strong because of Eisenhower's thoughts, you know, which he was smart, and he should have said that. And that's where NATO came in. And, they say NATO defends the peace, but without America, there is no NATO.
Yeah, we're 90% of NATO.
That's right.
I mean, it just doesn't work. So now we've got the Trump team over in Davos, and I'll be honest, I haven't watched much of it or read about it. I just kind of get, I do this so much. And then, I just kind of live life too. Well, anyway, but I got a call this morning. I was like, man, did you watch Trump's Davos speech? And I'm like, no, I hadn't watched it yet. And so I was planning on watching it tonight or this afternoon and just honestly hadn't gotten to it. But apparently he makes sure everybody knows we're America first.
It's a long speech. And the common theme that he spoke to was America is strong.
Right.
Stronger than you, stronger than anybody.
Right.
We are the top dog on planet Earth.
Right.
And that was the gist of what he was saying. And then with that, he followed up and say, basically, he told the people at the World Economic Forum, which is held in Davos, Switzerland, you're
I'm
done.
looking for it while you're talking.
He goes, you're done. This new world order stuff that you've been doing, globalism is dead. He goes,
that's so awesome.
Every country should be looking after its own interests. He goes, you should not be giving your manufacture of medicines and drugs to other countries.
Right.
You shouldn't be giving your raw materials to other countries. You shouldn't be outsourcing your own protection and defense to other countries. Once you do that, you no longer have a country.
Right.
And he's speaking truth, and he goes, America's fallen into that trap like everybody else.
Yeah. He's actually America first, which is, which is great and which is what we need here. We're going to play, hold on, we'll get it once it gets there. We'll play some of his
speechifying.
Yeah, and some of his.
He went on for a long time.
Well, and this is going to be his main message.
Than China or any other country. Do you have any questions?
President Davos, or what will be your message to the leaders?
Well, I think I have a lot of messages for Davos, but the primary message is how well the United States is doing. And I say it all the time. A year and a half ago, we were a dead country. And now we have the hottest country in the world. I mean, you're beneficiaries too. If you look, some of you have 401ks. You don't have to tell me your numbers are the best they've ever been. And the stock market's at an all-time high. We are just doing great. So I think the message in Davos, we're leaving, going to have an interesting time. We have a lot of meetings scheduled, but the message for Davos is how incredible our country is doing.
But a lot of people fall for the media narrative that it's not. But it is. I mean, things are picking up even in the real estate market. We're seeing it turn around now. The tariffs have worked.
Yes. No, we should be eating dog food right now. Our economy should be so bad. We should have our poor people living without electricity and water because our economy collapsed. That's what they told us. They told us right at the beginning, that is what's going to happen.
And I don't know why. And the only reason people believe them is because of the liberal monopoly that the media is.
Yes.
Because they also told us how good Obamacare was going to be, how Joe Biden was doing cartwheels down the White House hallway. I mean, everything they've ever told us.
And what did we shut down the government for last year? Because Obamacare is not sustainable.
Right.
And it's too expensive. And people can't afford it.
Yes.
Yet it's it was the panacea of everything.
Yes. It's just a wild thought of where we've been. But anyway, so you said some of his cabinet gets up and speaks at Davos too.
He had Ludwig was on there. He gave a speech.
That guy.
I wanted to stand up and cheer in my freaking living room. I mean, he laid it on them.
That's that Lutnick guy.
Yeah. Lutnick.
When he gets up, he means he's no holds barred.
Yeah,
but look, it's like when you were a kid. When in my elementary school, we had like a cage made out of metal. We didn't play King of the Hill, but it was like a jungle gym, one of those dome jungle gyms.
Yeah.
It was made out of metal.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Kind we fell off of all the time.
Yeah, that's right. And that's what we played King of the Hill on. You climb to the top of that and you pitch somebody off.
That's right.
And if you don't, they're going to pitch you off. The world is a giant playground.
It is.
Anybody that can't see that is a problem. You've got your girls over there playing on the bars. You've got some of the guys playing basketball. You've got a few different groups. You got some people playing King of the Hill. But there's a certain group of people that when they walk through, you move out of the way or you don't.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and you look at it and say, well, who do you want to be the king on that hill?
Right.
You know? And do you want China? Well, let's see. China would execute babies, if you had more than one for a long time.
Yep.
They take care of their local corruption with a bullet in the back of the head.
That's right.
They persecute religious people out there, Christians, Uyghurs, everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a totalitarian state. And if you want to see the absolute most totalitarian state, look at North Korea. And
my little sister was adopted from China. I don't know if you know that.
No, I didn't know that.
And my mom and stepdad went over there to get her, and when they did, she was 9 months old, and she had rope burn on her wrist from where they had her tied into the bed so that she couldn't roll over. And then when she first got back, they didn't understand why she wouldn't eat, because they wouldn't give her a bottle that was hot enough. Because they didn't worry about hurting her. They just gave her enough to keep her alive.
Right.
And so she was just used to getting scalding hot milk. Had scabies. I mean, everything you can think of that but they just had line. And thank God somebody dropped her at an orphanage, right? Because, you already mentioned the other option.
Yeah. Do you want Russia to be on top? Putin? I mean, he's throwing bodies into a meat grinder in Ukraine with no thought of his own people, his own economy, nothing. He's insane.
He's even importing North Koreans now.
Exactly. He's taking his allies and chopping them up.
Right.
Iran, the Ayatollahs.
Right.
They're pitching gays and lesbians off the buildings.
They're pulling for the 13th imam or whatever it is.
Yeah. Come back and destroy the world, and everything will be happy then.
Right.
So when you're looking at the options, I think America looks pretty good.
For sure.
But I look at the West and I see failure. I see signs of life in Australia a little bit. Uh-huh. They seem to be going, oh, we went a little bit past crazy. But
because they did.
Canada's there. They're making deals with the Chinese.
And we want, was it in World War II? We had plans to move into Canada if they became occupied by. Right. I mean, that's real life, everybody.
And talk about Greenland. We actually controlled Greenland during World War II because Denmark was unable to.
Right.
We protected it. We ran it. It was, and we gave it back. We're the only country that ever gives back land, that we've taken or had acquired through combat force arms, what have you. So we're the only country that's ever done that.
And let's stick on that. Nobody has a problem with Louisiana still being a state,
nope.
Or Texas, or whatever else was acquired through the Louisiana Purchase, or California, or all these other land purchases,
Alaska.
Or Alaska. This is the way of American expansionism.
Well, let me clue you in a little bit too. U.S. Virgin Islands. It wasn't always America. It used to be Denmark,
which is who
which we bought them from.
Yeah. That's who we're going to look. We're going to wind up with Greenland in this deal.
Well, Trump came out at Davos today, and he said, "Yeah, I'm not going to invade Greenland. I'm not going to go take it by military force." He says, "But I will use every other means necessary to acquire it.
Right.
It's vital to American interest." And that's the key part.
And
American interest.
If I was a Greenlander or whatever they're called, I'd be thinking, it's looking pretty safe. I'd love to have the Americans on the
America
shores.
says we can live our lives, we can run our own country, we can run it like we want to. Just title and deed belongs to them, and so they have a real stake in making sure that we do that. Plus, that's where we'll probably put the heart of our Golden Dome at.
Right.
So we can cover Canada, parts of Europe, the United States.
Well, because you're in the North Pole there, aren't you?
Yeah, basically.
Or at least the Arctic Circle.
Arctic Circle, yeah. And it's if you look at the planet from the top down, Greenland becomes pretty apparent what's going on,
Right.
and why it's military strategic.
Because we could shut Russia off at that point. We could shut China off at that point, and then that protects our whole eastern side.
Yeah,
I mean, unless they're coming. I mean, they're coming along. We got time to get them if they're coming south.
absolutely. And you got time to react to any kind of ballistic missiles that come across, because they got to go over the Arctic Circle to the North Pole,
Right.
basically, to get to us. So it's one of those things where it makes so much strategic sense.
Yeah.
And the fact is, Greenland's its own country with 60,000 residents.
So-
My subdivision in Houston had 90,000 people living in it. Texarkana, Bowie County, 90,000 people in it.
Yeah.
Way more than Greenland.
Right.
So don't come at me with we're morally corrupt because we want to acquire Greenland.
Yeah.
It's the way the world works.
Yeah. Right. It's less people than. I mean, have heard the show. Right? I mean,
literally.
It's
So, but that doesn't bother me. But the thing is, at Davos, it's not just Trump out there blowing smoke like the left says he always does. He's up there with his whole team, cabinet members, business leaders, everybody that's an American first is up there saying the same thing. The era of globalism is done.
Now, I have read that. Hey, globalism hasn't worked for anybody except the Chinese and the global elites.
But this wasn't an article in an American newspaper.
Yeah.
This was going right into the lion's den.
Yeah.
And look at them square in the eyes and say, "You're done."
Which is great. Which takes, you got to have something about you, which is why I've liked this guy. He talks a little bit like he's in a locker room. Yeah, you might not want him as your kid's Sunday school teacher or whatever, but I grew up in athletics and with coaches that, they use colorful language, and I never had any disrespect for those guys, but you also understood the job that needed to happen. And that's who Trump is. Hey, I'm going to be respectful and I'm going to treat you respectful, but this is what we're going to do.
You want to understand Trump? Read his book. He wrote it down.
Yeah, a long time ago.
Art of the Deal.
Yeah.
This is how he negotiates. First he comes in very, very soft, and then
gives you a chance.
Yeah, and when you turn him down, if he really wants it, he amps it up.
Right.
And then he goes overboard, and he gets you to the point where you're scared, and you come back and you say, "Okay, well, let's negotiate something fair." And that's how he gets it done.
Yeah.
But anyway, they were some amazing, and I invite your audience to go out there and listen to any of these speeches from any of the members out there, because they're all saying the same thing. And,
which is, when's the last, even his first administration couldn't pull that off.
Well, because the first administration was riddled with the deep state.
Yeah.
And hell, he spent 2 years of his first term fighting the Republicans.
And he still is. That's what the Republicans are trying to do now, is enough of them retire to flip the House.
Right.
Because that's what they did last time.
Yep. And that's what they're trying to do again. But, I hear how poorly Trump is doing in the polls. And
he was doing, both times he won the presidency, he was doing bad in the polls.
But let me put this to you. During the Monday night college championship football game, he came there and he got a standing ovation in that whole stadium
in Miami,
Florida.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. This is not an unpopular guy. He is a man's man as president, doing what we want an American president to be.
And I hear people talk all the time like, "Oh, I just don't know. That's because you're listening to the media.
Yeah.
Stop doing that. Think for yourself.
Well, that's the thing. They don't. I mean, look, they've acted. There is two Americas.
Right.
John Davis ran for president, as a Democrat way back, said there's two Americas.
Yeah.
There is. There is a left America and there's a right America. And thank God I'm on the right.
Yeah. But there's also a correct America, which is also on the right.
Yeah. But, you look at what's going on with Minnesota.
Yeah.
I mean, that is now ground zero for, in my opinion, a real insurrection.
So I was talking to somebody over the weekend. I was visiting. We had a funeral and had to go to it down in Minden, and I was talking to somebody, and they're like, "Hey, what's up with all this ICE activity in Minnesota? Why is all this happening?" And I go, "Have you not heard about the fraud?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "No." And so then I laid it out. They're like, "Okay, this makes more sense now because the news just reports, oh, we've got this ICE activity," and I, am naive in the fact sometimes that I believe everybody has all the information I have, and then I remember they don't.
They don't.
I mean, they have access to it, but they just
Right.
life is happening in other aspects, and I enjoy this.
A little bit too much, I think.
Yeah, that's right. And so they didn't know what was happening. It wasn't that
Right.
once they found out, they're like, oh, that's not good. Oh, they stole that much money?
Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, I see why ICE is there. I see why all this is happening. And then that's why the media can't tell everybody what's happening, because instantly they went from questioning why ICE was there to like, oh, I 100% support that.
What? It's more than just a fraud. I mean, Trump has sent people into Chicago, L.A., New Orleans, all over the place in these big crime-ridden areas. You go, Minneapolis, St. Paul,
Yeah.
that doesn't fit with the other ones. You're right. The key difference is there's a massive Somali community that has not assimilated in America, but what they did do is come over and learn how to rape the American taxpayer and just go ahead and steal
$700 million through the airport.
Yeah, which our
We talked about this last
Yeah,
week.
I know. And that's so. Yeah, it makes sense to go down there and and start saying, okay, they're talking now about stripping people of their naturalized citizenship.
Good.
If you commit massive fraud on the American taxpayer, damn right, good.
Yeah.
That's what needs to happen. But the media has run a counter narrative. It's like these ICE agents, they're Gestapo. Not even freaking close. If you know your history, that's a damn lie.
Your education system has done a good job of making sure people don't know that.
That's right.
It's all progressivism. What are you progressing towards? And you're progressing towards communism. That's the goal.
They're progressing towards totalitarianism and chaos.
Yeah,
and
so everything works in that order.
Yeah.
So, just a conspiracy to say that everything is set up to. No, it is. Look at it.
Yeah, I mean they had a church invaded this Sunday.
I saw some of that stuff. There.
Yeah. And they came in there and they got in the preacher's face and the congregation's face, and they're saying, "Leave us, go away. We're private. We're a church. We want to just worship our God."
Media personality.
Yes. Now he's out there claiming I'm just committing journalism. I go, no, you weren't. You were complicit with that.
I venture to say, in a few churches around here, at least, they would have been met with armed guards.
Well, yeah, because I know people in Southern churches, they carry. They do their own
not
security.
Just people. I mean, I know churches around here that have security teams. They go out and practice at shooting ranges.
Yeah.
And it's not something that we take our Jesus real serious and our guns real serious, and then we combine them.
Yeah. I mean,
because Jesus said, "Go sell your cloak and buy a sword."
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we're supposed to be ready.
yeah, we are. And, it's like, but it wasn't. These people were making a political argument in a house of worship. It's where they said the First Amendment conflicts because people have a right to speak and people have a right to their religion, but they're wrong. See, that's another lie. People have a right to their religion, of course.
Yeah.
But to go in there, you don't have a right to protest in the Constitution. You don't have a right to riot and take over private property.
That's right.
In the
if you
Constitution.
Want to, you can go out to the city park.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Just
stand
out
across
there.
the street.
Yeah.
On
the sidewalk.
Westboro Baptists, they were famous for that. They were horrid people.
Yeah.
And they used their religion as a shield.
Yes.
And they went out there and did some most despicable things. But you know what? They never invaded another church.
Well, and a lot of times towards the end, a lot of the Christian biker gangs and other biker gangs would show up and be like,
Yeah, we're going to run a little security for you.
Motorcycle clubs.
Motorcycle clubs, yes.
Like we'll run security for you. But it's a wild thing that, and I hope there's justice that comes over that, because you can't do that. And so I've seen some reports where people are like, hey, we have 21st century Christendom right now. Mm-hmm. Let this happen a few times, and we have 14th, 15th century Christendom again, and that's a whole. That's a whole other.
That's crusades and everything else. It's like, oh my God! But but people need to stand up. All those people in that church, Who do you think they vote for? Probably Democrats.
Yeah, well, and that's my problem. Jesus was not a weak man.
No.
Jesus was not a passive man. Jesus just didn't go along with it. Anybody that's read the...
We're back to the lamb and the lion again. Huh?
Anybody that's read this knows Jesus was all about it. He wanted all the smoke all the time.
Oh, yeah. You know, because be hot or cold, but don't be lukewarm. And
That's
too
right.
many people in this country are lukewarm.
Because we're comfortable.
That's right. They're comfortable in their own existence.
Yeah.
They may not like this, they may not like that, but they're willing to tolerate it.
Oh, nobody wants to. You know, how many times have you been told, choose your battle, don't rock the boat, da, 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 da.
You can't discuss politics and religion at the dinner table.
Yeah, where I'm
oh,
like,
hell no. You should.
Where I'm like, let's rock that boat, baby.
That's right.
You choose your battle. I want to choose every battle.
Yeah.
And it's exhausting. You know, it is exhausting. But at the end of the day, and if I'm wrong, I'll tell you I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I can say, I stood for what I believe in.
That's right. You know, and that should be in our DNA as Americans.
I thought it was.
It was at one time, but we've let a pernicious darkness
Pernicious, I like it.
come into our life, our culture, and it's happened through our schools. It's happened through our media.
What?
You know, Walter Cronkite was the biggest lib out there,
Yeah.
but you never knew it on the news because he reported it factually and without bias.
Well, you weren't allowed to propagandize news at that
Exactly.
point either. Not that he didn't in his own way, but you didn't have another viewpoint ever. Yeah. I mean,
well, you had what, 3 stations?
yeah. But you know, I mean, and that's why mediums like this are, and even you. A lot of credit goes to Rush Limbaugh for kicking this whole thing off.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, not necessarily podcasts, but, well, Rush Limbaugh had the Ditto Cam well before anybody else doing this type thing. But it was to get the other information out there. And Bo Diddley, you know. And,
well, you know.
No, not Bo Diddley. Bo Snerdley. Yeah.
But,
Bo
you know,
Diddley.
there was this little discussion on Facebook thread I was on, and part of it was about, you know, Chris Spencer wanting to eliminate property tax, and Josh Bray saying, "Oh, we just need more relief.
Right.
But we still got to have property taxes because the math doesn't work." And he
Right.
gave all these excuses why we can't eliminate property taxes, and I'm like, no, we've had plans on the table since Deborah Medina ran for Texas governor way back when.
Okay.
To eliminate property taxes. The difference is now is you don't have to trust a think tank like TPPF or anybody else. You have AI on your phone, and you can go in there and you can Google and say, how can I eliminate property taxes in Texas
and still create revenue?
Yeah, and still fund local government and schools. And you know what? It'll give you an answer, you know, something you can work with. So when they say you don't understand the process, you don't know how it works, you know,
well,
they pat you on the head and say, let us, your elected officials.
You sit at the kids' table and let mommy and daddy handle the business.
You know what? No, we know things now. We know what the problems are. We know how to find the solutions. And that's what we're finding out now. And the politicians are having more and more trouble hiding, you know, their lack of action on these things.
Well, I mean, what we're seeing, and thank God Elon Musk bought Twitter and turned it into X. Because our government, as stated, of the people, for the people, and by the people. The people were expected to know, were expected to be able to read and write and comprehend what was in a bill so they can know what the government was doing to them. And then it's been, I don't know, bastardized so much that, it's got so... legalistic that they try to make these big long bills where nobody can understand what's in it.
Omnibus bills.
Yeah, omnibus bills and all this. And so that we can't. And so now, we're real busy up here. We're really doing this. We're really doing that. But now all of a sudden we have X again. And then we have podcasts and we have all these things. And then we have AI and we're like, I don't think you're doing that much.
But you know, that's only managing the symptoms.
Yeah.
Talk about our Declaration of Independence.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Our Constitution.
Yeah.
You take that to a ninth grader, the original documents, and say, read this. And they go, I can't read that.
It's cursive.
It's cursive writing.
Yeah.
They don't even teach you how to write cursive anymore.
Right.
You know, and a lot of
Crimson
people.
Grinch can write cursive.
I'm sure she can. You know, but I can remember in school, you know, with the big, almost brown paper or gray paper with the lines on it.
Yeah.
And you had to write your cursive. Yeah. I remember that. Now I have pretty crappy handwriting, but I can still write cursive.
Oh, she actually wrote in cursive right there. Like,
okay.
Yeah.
You know, and when I sign my name, it's in cursive.
If you're younger than, I don't know, I'm 40. If you're 5 years or much younger than me, there's a chance you can't sign. Like, you'll notice that they print for signature. They print their name. I'm like, that's not a signature.
That's not a signature.
You just wrote your name,
right?
But they don't know.
Yeah, they don't know because they think that's normal because they've not been taught. That's the key word. They've not been taught.
Yes,
we have forgotten so much. We are so busy throwing money at our schools that, you know, and it's like every kid's got to have a tablet. You know, we've got to have all this digital technology in our classrooms. You know what? We invented the atom bomb. You know, we went to the moon. You know, we did all these great things. We built battleships. We've
huge battleships.
We've done miracles in medicine, and we did that with blackboards, like you say, chalkboards. We had notebook paper, number 2 pencils, you know, textbooks. You know, some kids, you know, studies are now showing that kids can't even understand and comprehend actual physical textbook. They can only read it off digital formats.
And what a great job of the future overlords, because that way they can turn that off and they don't know what to do with it.
That's right. I mean, what happens if we have a Carrington event, you know, and the power goes out and it takes us years to rebuild our infrastructure? Nobody will know how to do it because they can't read the damn books.
Just screwed. Yeah.
You know?
Rabbit hole.
Okay.
Talking about going to the moon on that, and you being an ass man. We've got Artemis, Artemis 2.
Artemis 2.
Blasting off in February 4th, maybe? February sometimes.
February sometimes. You know, sometimes you got to get the weather right and all that stuff.
But, I mean, they moved it to the launch pad the other day. Like, this is exciting stuff.
It is. You know, and, you know, NASA's starting, you know, under Trump again. NASA's got a vision. They're going, you know, and it's not like, well, what's our 10-year plan to get back to the moon? NASA doesn't ever have a 10-year plan. They don't have a 5-year plan. They got a 1-year plan, which is budget to budget.
Right.
You know,
let's go.
And that's why NASA can't ever do anything. Is because every budget cycle is a different fight, and they don't know if they're going to have funding or not, and they don't invest. They don't do it. Trump's like, oh hell no, we're going to go.
Yeah.
And we're going to go by this date. That's what John Kennedy did. I want a man on the moon by X date, and that's what they did. You know, so
which is awesome. I'd love to see it. And this first mission, we're just going to fly around the moon like they did. You know, numerous Apollo missions, just going around scoping it out, making sure we could pull it off, make sure the equipment works, make sure everything fires right. Okay, let's go. Let's do that.
Well, you know, here in Texas, we're concerned about the vast proliferation of data centers and such, and the energy it's going to take. Build them on the moon. Put all the solar farms you want up there. Yeah, you don't have a heat problem. You've got all the sunshine in the world you could want. You know, build your data centers up there. Run them up there. And you know, you can, with satellite technology and the communications,
you can get it right back to you.
Yeah, it's right back to you. You don't have to take farmland to go and do that. You don't have to utilize our natural resources to, you know, where technology replaces nature.
What a Jetsons world we live in.
I know.
To where, you know, this basically we're talking to people, you know, we're talking to George through our thing, just like Mr. Spacely would, right?
Absolutely.
You know, and so now we're talking about, hey, let's put these data centers on the moon. What kind of crazy world are we living in? Thanks to American ingenuity.
Yeah.
And all the Nazis that we took from Germany that helped our space race.
You know, again, I go to my phone and I go, I can charge this. I don't have to plug anything into it. I just lay it on a charging pad and it works.
Yeah.
I don't know how it works, you know, but the magic happens.
And we have that kind of technology.
We do.
And yet, if you just to continue down a different rabbit hole until we come back, yet we've got people coming into our country from a third world country that refuse to assimilate, that marry their brothers and their cousins that have an average IQ of less than 80, and we're gonna capitulate to them. We're talking about putting data centers on the moon. They're living in mud huts.
Here's a question for you. I heard recently, so I can't claim credit for it as much as I want to. But if you take a third world person and you let them come into this country, does that make them a first world person?
Not if you look at their neighborhoods.
That's right. What you get is a third world person in a first world country, which will rapidly, water seeks its own level, culture seeks its own level too.
Absolutely.
And, the massive, by the millions of illegals coming into this country, forget about legal. I'm in favor of legal immigration.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. There's benefits to having people from different parts of the world with different ideas and such.
Yeah.
That's good. But the massive illegal immigration, taking all the world's poor, tired, and hungry, we can't sustain that.
Back when in a big enough.
Back when you had wooden boats crossing an ocean,
right?
That's one thing. When you can bring them in by the train loads and the plane loads, and it's just too much. You can't assimilate millions of people.
Even talking about Canada earlier. Even look at Alberta and what they're doing. If Alberta pulls out of Canada, they have no economy. They've taken so much from Alberta that Canada too will go third world very quickly if Alberta leaves, which I think they're going to.
Oh yeah, Carney's
just a commie.
Oh my God, he is. And he was up there crying yesterday at the Davos in his speech about the collapse of the New World Order. How Trump has changed things and it's no longer like it was, and we've got to do something. But
what are you going to do?
What are you going to do? You're Canada. You can't do a damn thing.
And you've reaped the benefit of being our northern neighbor for a long time.
You know what? They'll continue to reap some benefit from us because they're our neighbor.
Right.
If we're protecting ourselves, we are going to have to protect them somewhat.
That's exactly right.
Until they're a problem. This is the harsh reality of the world. I know that me and you, we're ideologues, and we're for liberty and limited government, freedom, and all that stuff. But there's real world applications that need to be addressed. When we fought World War II, World War I, those were things where, we had to do things. Back in our Civil War, they suspended habeas corpus, and it's like, I hated that. But you know what? They probably needed to do it at the time.
Yeah. And it wasn't right.
Yeah.
But it served a purpose.
The thing is, back to the Civil War, I know we're down yet another rabbit hole.
No, that's fine.
But, it's like, I thought the South had the right moral argument, but it was the Union that had the right argument for the country.
Yes. And your moral argument wasn't anything about slavery.
No, it wasn't.
I just want to make sure and point that out, that you're not saying that, hey.
No. It was self-government.
Yep.
It was basically... slavery was a part of it. I won't brush that under the rug. But there was a lot of other economic stuff that went to it too.
But also, the Emancipation Proclamation didn't free Northern slaves.
Right.
It only freed Southern slaves. So once that happened, there were still slaves in the North.
Right.
Nobody ever talks about that, but that's the way that works.
Slavery wasn't near as prevalent up north as it was here.
But they were still there.
And I'll give Massachusetts its due. There was never legalized slavery in Massachusetts.
Right.
In fact, the first person killed in the American Revolution, that they go, Crispus Attucks, he's a mulatto. He's mixed race, and he was leading the charge. Now, he probably did something stupid by grabbing the British guns that were pointed at his chest and yanking on them.
But
it's sort of like that lady who got shot in Minnesota.
Right. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
But without that, we wouldn't have had. We would have still had the American Revolution. It just wouldn't have kicked off right then.
John Adams defended the British soldiers. That shot Crispus.
Was their attorney, right?
Yeah, he was their attorney.
Yeah.
People don't realize our history is so nuanced. With this and happening and that happening, and people only understanding a portion
Right.
of the story or a headline of the story
Yeah.
and not realizing the full context. And we don't teach that anymore.
No.
And people who don't remember their history are doomed to repeat it.
Or read it. Just go.
Yes.
It's all written down for
It
us.
is.
Just instead of watching cat videos, just go read it. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's that easy. Okay, let's keep going.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to read this article and then I'm going to reference our meeting last Thursday. Wesley Hunt on X.com says, let's be brutally honest. If Democrats ever retake the United States Senate, the filibuster is gone anyway. Now, I would like to point to the state of Virginia and what they've already done since they elected a new Democrat lady governor.
The moderate Democrat
that was sold as a moderate. She's gone off the rails. Now, if you're a white guy, you can't win a government bid.
Yeah.
I mean, and even if your bid is up to, they can take a bid that is up to 5% more expensive from a minority than the winning bid from a white guy.
Right.
And so, and it goes on. The list is extensive, and I think I have it here somewhere, so we'll get to that here in a second. Oh, wait, here it is. We'll get back to Wesley Hunt. This is from Christian Hines, maybe? Haynes on X.com. Democrats in Virginia have introduced a bill that discriminates against white men in government for discretionary contracts under $100,000 is what it is. And then this bill allows agencies to award contracts to women or minority-owned firms that are 5% more expensive.
Yeah. I mean, and that's just a smallest portion of what she's been doing. She's revoked a lot of Youngkin's executive orders, which tells people if you don't have a Congress or a legislature that freaking works and actually puts things into law,
Which is what's happening nationally.
they get reversed. All the Trump stuff that he's done what, 220 executive orders?
Yeah, that can all
The
go
next
away.
president, if it's a Democrat, they just flush it. They go, well, he was a tyrant and we have to get rid of everything that was Trump. No matter if it was good or bad, they don't care. It's all politically ideological with them.
Yep. So let's go back to Wesley Hunt saying that about the Senate filibuster will go away. We had a great meeting with Wesley Hunt last
Yeah,
week.
we did.
I mean,
I was a little impressed with him.
I was a lot impressed with him. Now our premier listener, he's like, well, he said a lot about Trump, and he did, and I'm okay with that. I good.
Yeah.
Because Wesley Hunt has flown around with Trump and stumped for Trump, and that's not a negative to me.
Well, Paxton, same thing. He's been a staunch ally of Trump too. If you're with somebody who you believe in, who is doing what you think needs to be done, yeah, you're going to support him and you're going to say, I'm with him.
And so I was talking to a lady who hosted the debate that was out in Van Zandt County. I was talking to her last Monday, maybe. I don't know, the day before, whenever her rally was. And she goes, well, Paxton didn't come. And I said, well, he's winning.
Yeah.
I said, I probably wouldn't come either. But then she goes, yeah, but how do you feel about Wesley Hunt now that he came? I'm like, yeah, now that I've seen him. She goes, Paxton's, that's a losing philosophy. Because that is the thing. Wesley Hunt came to Texarkana.
Yeah.
He sat in front of 65 of us. And that's a little get for a U.S. Senate seat. However, there wasn't a person in there that wasn't impressed, I don't think.
Right.
I mean, he was solid.
He was solid.
And just the way he carried himself. And so y'all that are listening, if you're in Texas, which according to today's statistics, 42% of you are. But if you're in Texas, look at Wesley Hunt on the Senate race because, man, he was strong.
Now, I do want to say one thing also about Wesley. While he was up there, people were asking him, and he was bashing Cornyn pretty good.
Yeah.
And somebody noticed, says, you haven't really said anything about Ken Paxton. And Wesley goes, I'm not fighting Ken Paxton. He goes,
Yeah.
He says,
Well, let me clarify. He wasn't bashing Cornyn. He was just pointing out what Cornyn. He was using the actual record of what Cornyn's done. It's just not good.
Yeah, right. And that's I put it in terms of bashing. That's what he's doing is pointing out, Cornyn's lack of action, being on the other side,
Right.
being the establishment uni-party guy that he is.
Yeah.
So he's.
So I mean, I wasn't trying to derail you.
Yeah. But he was asked about Paxson. He goes, "Why aren't you saying anything negative about Ken?" And he goes, I don't want to put words in his mouth either, but he's basically saying he doesn't have a problem with Ken as far as being a conservative. He says they're both conservatives. What his difference with Ken is, he goes, I'm the new generation.
Yes.
Ken's a bit older than me, and he'll be in there for, maybe a couple terms, I don't know. He says, but I'm the new leadership that we need to have, which is a legitimate point.
Because he's younger 40s.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's been a congressman, he's a veteran and all that stuff. So he has a legitimate point, but he doesn't have to be nasty, and he's not. He doesn't have to say he's wrong, because he's not.
and he and Paxton are both leading Cornyn in the polls right now.
Yeah.
And so if the election was held today, it would be a runoff between Wesley Hunt and Ken Paxton. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Well, personally, from polling I've seen and such and heard about, Bowie County is pretty much Paxton country anyway.
Right.
Now, it doesn't hurt to have healthy competition. And that's what Wesley Hunt is with Ken Paxton, is healthy competition. I do worry that, they're taking from each other a little bit,
And they are.
And Cornyn, I don't want to see that slippery son of a gun get through it, because
It helps us this time that there's Democrat candidates to vote for, so
Yeah.
you can't go Operation Chaos in the Rush Limbaugh style and bring people and look, people on the left are going to be excited to vote for Jasmine Crockett in the primary and in the actual election in November.
If she makes it, Tallarico is ahead in the polls right now, and
but so that's why there's got to be a primary. I mean,
he's a scary guy too.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they have something on the table this time. In fact, they're going to have a Democrat who is going to be in the primary. Now, he's unopposed, so they don't really have to vote for him.
Right.
But if you're a Democrat, aren't you tired of voting for Republican lights and want to vote for one of your own candidates?
Exactly. It'd be nice. Okay, here's this from World News at MAGA News on X.com. Just in a stunning reversal that has left the global alliance in tatters, French President Emmanuel Macron has openly declared Europe should roll out the red carpet for massive Chinese investment.
Yes.
All while wanting us to support NATO. This is what we were just talking about.
Well, China, they play the long game. They have a 100-year plan.
Yeah.
And they do their Belt and Roads initiative, where they go in there and they supply infrastructure, energy, whatever, but it always comes with a price. It's a devil's bargain.
That's why we had to send Rubio to Panama to get the canal back.
Exactly. Well, and we didn't get it back as owners.
Right.
But we did get rid of Chinese.
Right.
And we
like
put
half
American
the signs
companies
down
in
there were in Chinese.
Oh, yeah. Hell, I've been on the border for years. And the Border Patrol beacons out there that say, if you're dying out here, because you ain't got no water or you're hurt or whatever, come to this beacon and push the button. That sign's in English, Spanish, Mandarin Chinese.
Really?
Yes.
Isn't that wild? Well, anyway, Macron is quoted as saying, we need more Chinese direct investment in Europe in some key sectors. Also, Macron had these glasses on, these sunglasses, and I'm not sure.
The running joke is his wife beat him up again. He's got a black eye he's hiding.
And by wife, you mean husband.
That's what they say.
According to Kansas Owens. Politico.com, Congress clinches a $1.2 trillion funding deal for DHS, the Pentagon, and domestic agendas. Are we ever going to see the Republicans do what they're supposed to do and stop doing these huge bills? I mean, this does prevent a government shutdown. It does keep. I can see both sides, but if we had some, there are supposed to be 12 appropriations bills.
12 separate budget bills that are supposed to go through regular order in the Congress each year. And our Congress has been so damn dysfunctional with the Democrats and the Republicans that every year we get to the government shutdown, you got to pass an omnibus, cramnibus, whatever it is. And, it's not how our government's supposed to work. See,
Right.
people don't even realize our government is broken.
Yeah.
It is broken today. And until Congress can go in there and reassert itself, and right now that's not happening because that's the seeds of your civil war right there.
Yeah.
Is you cannot get a working Congress in the United States because the Democrats will not work with the Republicans. The Republicans can't work with the Democrats because they're crazy. And it's one of, it's one of those things where they stalemate each other all damn year long.
Yeah.
They, cut their salaries in half, tell them that they can't get a pension. I guarantee you Congress gets fixed real damn fast.
I'm okay with going the opposite approach, actually. Term limits.
Yes.
Pay them an exorbitant amount of money.
Yeah, we're going different on this one.
And then make it to where they lose that money if they have to pay back if they ever are a lobbyist, write a book. Like, you can never do anything again. But we're going to make you rich because of it. You can't invest until you've been gone for 10 years. I mean, like, really make it. But you're going to want to be there to serve your country. And we're going to make it to where you can.
Well, see, on the surface, that sounds good, but do you want somebody to come in there and make laws that will affect your life, your country, for profit? Or would you rather have somebody in there who serves because it's in their
We
heart?
already have them in there for profit.
Well, I know that. Don't get me wrong.
Okay, look at MTG, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah.
I mean, look at
Pat
Nancy
Fallon.
Pelosi, Pat Fallon.
As well as Elon Ohar.
Yeah.
It's
all of them, right? I mean, and I'm not.
they're all. They get in there and they're like the Somali community. They figure out how to scam the government,
and
they do it.
Other than Tim Burchett,
Yeah.
who claims to be the anyway. Yes, I agree with you on that. And there's something. Where to go?
I mean, I've worked in politics here in Texas for damn near 20 years. I haven't made a penny off it. Right. Well, I did serve as legislative director. I took a salary for it.
Yeah,
but
right.
I have not got any sweetheart deals. I'm not on any corporate boards. I'm just a guy.
Nobody sees the Rolls Royce you drive.
Yeah, right. my old 2018
Dodge. Yeah. That's exactly right. So there's that. Let's see what else we've got as we're wrapping it up here. Nigerian professor pleads guilty to, guess what? Stealing $1.4 million from a Grand Rapids
Say it ain't
preschool.
so.
Yeah, so
that's
now,
not Minnesota. That's Michigan.
So now we're in Michigan. So
you know what? It's here in Texas too.
Yeah, it is.
When we get Huffines elected as comptroller and he starts auditing, he's going to audit these NGOs and where this money's going.
And good.
And it's going to be shocking to Texans.
Yeah.
They'll go, what?
Yeah.
How did
right.
we're paying for what? And we're trying to get rid of our property taxes, and you're paying these guys millions of dollars to do this, and it's scams.
Right. All right. Here's what I want to finish up with. And we're just going to go back to this Virginia new governor, the moderate. Spanberger, that's it. Here's what they've done. And I knew I had a list somewhere. This is from Greg Price on X.com. It says Democrats now control the legislature and governor's office in Virginia. And this is since January 1. Like, I just need everybody to know. Here are just a few of the bills they've introduced. A new 4.3% sales tax on Uber Eats, Amazon, and all and deliveries. New sales tax on admissions to a wide variety of businesses. Create two new higher tax brackets of 8% and 10% on people over $600,000 in income, which is crazy because then you just won't make that money.
Right.
I mean, if you're making that much money, you know how not to make that much money.
Or how to claim it as not income.
Or how to just fire people and then less people have jobs that are working for you because you just won't do as much anyway. A new 10% tax bracket for everyone making over $1 million. So that's 3 tax brackets. Well, no, that's the same.
Let's do it, yeah.
Okay. 3.8% investment tax on top of your state income tax. They're going to raise the hotels tax. Well, why would you want to stay in a hotel if you're having to pay more, especially in Virginia? New personal property tax on landscaping equipment. So your landscapers, if they have lawnmowers or whatever, they're paying extra tax on that equipment. They're going to ban gas-powered leaf blowers.
Yeah.
They're going to guarantee illegal aliens a free education. They're going to make it illegal to approach somebody at a clinic for.
But you can go in their church and disrupt their service.
Exactly right. They're going to extend the time absentee ballots can be received after Election Day to 3 days, obviously for fraud. They're going to allow people to cast their votes electronically through the internet. Because that's safe.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're going to expand ranked choice voting, which is a scam. They call it the, what's her name up in Alaska?
Murkowski.
Yeah, Murkowski. They call it the Murkowski bill up there because that's how she stays in power.
Yeah.
She was appointed to Congress, her daddy's seat, and then put in ranked choice voting and has never lost since then. They're going to extend the deadline for ballot curing to 1 week. So you can go find those votes for a week. They're going to redact the addresses of political candidates from FOIAs because they're better than us, and the pigs live in the house and the other animals don't. They're going to add Virginia to the national popular vote, trying to do away with the Electoral College, which is crazy.
Yeah.
They're going to make it illegal to hand count ballots. You don't get to check them. It's just whatever this computer system, whatever the Dominion machines say it is.
Whatever EG&S says, that's what you got.
There's a $500 sales tax on firearm suppressors, assault weapons, and large capacity magazine ban. There will be an 11% sales tax on all firearms and ammunition. They're going to prohibit outdoor shooting of a firearm on less than 5 acres.
I'm safe.
They're going to lower the criminal penalties for robbery. So it's going to be harder to get a gun, harder to get bullets, easier to rob people.
Right.
They're going to ban the arrest of illegal aliens in courthouses. They're going to remove the mandatory minimum sentences, so you don't have to get any jail time for these crimes.
Right.
They're going to allow localities to install speed cameras. You can take or leave that. They're going to replace Columbus Day with Indigenous Peoples Day. And there you go. And
are you done yet?
And so, and side note, for everybody who's wondering, these are the people that live in Washington, D.C., that work in Washington, D.C. That's who this is for. This is who's running your government.
No. This is what will happen everywhere Democrats take power. It's like we talked about the Islamists, that they lay low until they get the power, and then they act, and you ain't liking what they're like. These are the moderate Virginia Democrats that got elected over Winsome Spears.
Yeah.
And they're saying, we're okay. We're not going to go crazy on you.
And they don't think this is going crazy.
And they did. America, this is coming to you.
Right.
If anybody out there votes for a Democrat, this is what you get.
Or a rhino.
Well, that's another story. I get that, and we talk about the Uni Party from time to time. But basically, when you get down to it, there are no moderate Democrats.
Never.
Maybe
they ride for the brand.
That's
they do
right.
Exactly what the party tells them to do.
And the party is insane. You just heard it yourself on all the stuff they're wanting to do.
So when we talk about killing,
would that play in Texas?
No.
So
when we talk about killing the filibuster, because if we don't, the Democrats are going to.
Yeah.
Then they're going to stack the Supreme Court in such a way, because there's no limits on how many people can be on the Supreme Court.
Right.
They're going to make it so that we can never win another case. All right. This is what's coming.
Yeah. I mean, while we have the power, we need to exercise it for what the people voted for. Because if we can't, people lose heart. They lose faith.
Yes.
And they say, it does. I listened to my stepfather for 50 years talk about, well, it don't matter what I vote for. It doesn't matter. They'll just keep doing what they want to do. I'm like, that's not the way to, that's not the way to be American. It's like, Dad, you served your country. You're a veteran.
Right.
You work. You put in everything, and but you give up on politics.
Yep, that's exactly right.
And that's
we got to pull our head out of the sand. Everybody.
Absolutely, and we got to fight. We got to fight for our country.
And with that, what are you running for, Dale?
I'm running for Bowie County Republican Party chair because I want to fight.
There you go. I'm running for Precinct 11A chair, and I too want to fight.
There you go.
And so
together we'll be a hell of a tag team.
We will be a good team. And I pray about it every day, and I hope we can get there. And we left some people with some hard hitting stuff, but let me leave you with some hope. Jesus Christ is your Lord and Savior. Whether you admit it now or later, you're going to admit it one day. It says every knee will bow and every tongue will confess that Jesus is Lord. He is the hope. He is the future. He is peace in everybody's life if you let him be. So take that for what it's worth. I hope God blesses each and every one of you today.
Amen.